Joining us now is Democratic Senator Jon Tester of Montana. He's also the chairman of the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee. Senator, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'll get right to it. When did you first learn about this balloon, and how did you learn of it?
Wow, it was I learned yesterday is when I learned about it, and quite honestly, I was very disturbed by what I had heard, where we had a surveillance balloon that was flying over Montana, a place where people appreciate freedom and privacy, a place where we have 150 ICBMs, and a balloon that was put into space by China. This is a very bad situation, quite frankly. China has been trying to replace us as the world's economic leader and military leader for some time now. And they've been done some very provocative things around Taiwan and in the Indo-Pacific. They do things on the internet all the time that are not helpful. And so we need to get to the bottom of all this. We need to find out why decisions were made that were made. And I'm not saying they were wrong decisions, but we need to find out why the decisions that the military made were made the way they were. A lot of that information can't be given outside. Some of it can be, and we'll get as much of it as we can out to the public. But in the end, we need to find out what has happened, why it happened, and make sure this never happens again. We need to absolutely make sure this country is safe. And the surveillance balloon, I think, at least from my perspective, compromises that somewhat.
Senator, I know that a lot of your colleagues on Capitol Hill have been fairly aggressive in terms of their suggestion of what should be done here. They've been saying shoot it down. You have not publicly advocated for that. Do you agree with the Biden administration's rationale here?
That's why we're having the hearing, to find out what the rationale that was used to determine whether to shoot it down or let it fly, what was done to try to make it so that it was ineffective in gathering information. And that's all very important information. Look, I'm not there sitting in the seat that our military generals and are. The truth of the matter, I put a lot of faith in them to do the right thing. But we also have to make sure they have to be held accountable for the decisions they do make. And that's what the hearing is going to be. Hopefully we get that done as soon as possible.
I think you have, very nicely articulated your concerns about this, the potential threat here you see in terms of national security. But there has been a degree of alarm on the part of the right as far as it concerns this balloon and China in general that I think a lot of people see as unnecessarily nativist, unnecessarily isolationist. I mean, do you have any thoughts about the people who have been saying, oh, this balloon could be from Wuhan, it might be filled with, COVID or, any number of paranoid conspiracy theories that as of right now seem largely unfounded? Do you have thoughts on that kind of rhetoric at this moment?
Well, the worst thing we could do is play politics with our national security. That's absolutely a non-starter. The second thing is we need to get to the truth. We need to find out what the truth is. There's all sorts of theories and ideas and thoughts out there by different people that don't know what they're talking about. The bottom line is we want to have people come to this hearing that do know what they're talking about and can justify what's going on and what has happened and how many times this has happened before where we've had a surveillance balloon potentially fly over this country. And so look, conspiracy theories can go all over. There is one thing that I believe to be a fact, though. China is our pacing threat in this world. We need to treat it as such. And so when they send a surveillance balloon over this country, it isn't to pick up information on the weather. It's to surveil us. It's to pick up secrets, to find out what we're doing. This is our airspace, not theirs. That is completely improper to do. And we just need to get the military in to tell us why the actions that were done, and find out what's going to happen in the future if this happens again.
Senator Jon Tester of Montana, thank you, sir, for your time. Really appreciate it. And thanks for all you're doing. Have a good evening.
You bet, Alex. Thank you.